and welcome to The Hill is Always Greener, a show where four friends have chill discussions about Sonic the Hedgehog to distract themselves from the inevitable passage of time and their rapidly waning ability to relate to the youth. Or is it?
Ooh. I mean, I think it is, right?
I'm your host intro guy today, Game Buddy. Or am I?
Don't have to think about that one. I'm Valero.
I'm pointing at myself in the mirror. I'm Rock the Jake.
I'm Cyberlink, and I'm into GoBots now.
Well, if our incredibly on-the-nose hints weren't enough, we are discussing a very unique subject. In fact, so unique, I had to have y'all remind me what it exactly was last week. But today we are going to come up with our own mirror universe for the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. No, I hate that word. For a mirror universe for the Sonic universe, and we're gonna nail down what that means in discussion. But yeah, it's gonna be real fun. I guess this is like a cousin to our fanfic episode where we're creating like this alternative take on Sonic, something that has been explored before. Yeah. Something that has been explored before in the franchise, both recently and very much in the far past. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. How about y'all?
I always look forward to a creative exercise with all of us because I know I say it in like previous podcast episodes, but the fanfic episode is still one of my favorite ones that we've ever recorded, and so just pure creativity from us four silly boys. I love it.
This isn't going to be a game like that one was. No, we are serious here tonight. This is more just going to be us going through a bunch of things.
And that's our mirror selves. We're serious about this.
Yeah, we're very serious. So come join us hack YouTubers as we talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, maybe don't include that. No.
Time doesn't pass for us. We are always relevant.
Yes. Yeah, so I was going somewhere with that, but I forgot where it was.
Maybe you got sent to another dimension.
Oh no, that's a euphemism for killing someone, and specifically in the ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z.
I know, Vegeta, no! How could you do that to your friend? Send him to another dimension like that, where he's fine.
Don't worry, I can see the parachutes. That has nothing to do with the topic today. What are we doing? Okay, mirror universes, they're cool. Jeremy, you're leading the discussion. I'll let you do that.
Right. So, like we said, this has been touched upon in Sonic before. I think the biggest one that people our age are probably familiar with is the evil alternate zone in the Archie comics, which was eventually dubbed, okay, now I'm realizing as I look at this word that I've never said it out loud. Is it just Mobius with an E in it, or is it...
Yep.
It's okay. It's not Moebius.
No, they are not. It's not a universe populated with cute girls that look like Sonic characters. Okay, although that probably also exists.
Travis Touchdown does not have a poster of it on his wall. Okay, just wanted to be sure. It's just Mobius with an extra E. Yes,
that's just what they did to differentiate it later on when they were actually bothering to properly differentiate it. It wasn't just what it started off as.
I believe it was just called Anti-Mobius at one point.
Or Evil Sonic's universe, which is... Yeah, this was a concept introduced by Ken Penders in the early issues of Archie, and it was like, hey, what if Sonic and the Freedom Fighters were evil? Man, I don't remember that exact issue. I don't think there was that much to it, except like
I own that exact issue.
I think I might too. I think it's like 20 or 21, maybe like...
I think it's 24.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. It's like, hey, credit where credit's due. Like, even back then in the silly go nuts, jokey Archie, like, it was interesting to see this alternate take on Sonic, even if it was a little shallow, and they would revisit
But that's
evil
what
Sonic.
They were going for, like, that's because it was during that time when they were doing lots of silly strips, so you could have, like, an evil version of Sonic's world, where the whole difference is that Sonic wears a jacket and shades, and that's what separates them.
As lots of people know, Evil Sonic would come back several times. I think the next time he would appear, he'd bring Anti-Knuckles with him, who wore a beret, and I think we've talked about that before, there were potentially some unfortunately executed references to the IRA by Anti-Knuckles, but
we need to bring Chris McFeely on for that episode.
Yeah.
No, we don't. We never need to cover that.
No, I don't think so. But hey, Evil Sonic would eventually transform into fan favorite Scourge the Hedgehog, who, what a bastard. I love that guy. And before he became Scourge, he did things that lots of people don't like that we're not going to cover again. But yes, that is the big anti-Sonic universe that would get fleshed out more. Like eventually we saw their universe's version of Robotnik, who I think went by Kintober. He was the tall, slender Dr. Light, basically. And it's hey, I think it's worth checking out. The good parts anyway.
It's fine. It just kind of leans into what's weird for me is that Evil Sonic in this case is just kind of he's a punk and a rebel, and I'm just like, but isn't that normal Sonic? Well, he's supposed to be, kind of.
Well, that's the thing about alternate universe characters is that, sometimes the mirror universe counterpart does have, the exact same personality, and sometimes they're complete inversions, and sometimes it is a mix of the two depending on which character, even if they're from the same universe.
Mm-hmm. And they did kind of lean into that sort of Killing Joke thing of this is what will happen to you, Sonic, if you had one bad day. And I do like that for that particular version. But it's not a complete inversion of Sonic. It's more of just oh man, this is Sonic but f***ed up, actually.
Yeah. I do remember laughing at a lot of just how much even though they are still a group, the anti-freedom fighters, is they just bicker and snipe at each other so much. Even to the point of I think there might be some abusive relationships going on here, which I will bring her up later, but one of my favorite things that the anti-Mobius brought up was eventually their version of Amy, also known as Rosie the Rascal, is a nod to her nickname in Sonic the Fighters. But I want to save her for when we get to that section. But believe it or not, Archie also has another weird mirror universe, which, hey, sorry, back to Ken Penders, he probably wouldn't enjoy us calling it a mirror universe, because for him it was always meant to be the true final ending of the continuity of Sonic. But what happened to King Sonic's world after he fixed the big whatever who's it that was blipping out the universe, and here's King Shadow and all that weirdness that, hey, that just goes to show you that even if you have a competent writing and editing team, is when you're giving a boring ass concept like Sonic becoming king of the world and the most boring motherfucker on the planet, that you can only do so much to wrap all that up. But that is technically a mirror universe.
Of sorts.
I don't really care for it. But it's there.
But it happened.
It happened.
I think this is where we do a very brief allusion to a certain anti-Sonic that happened in Sonic and the Fourth Dimension. And I'm not going to say anything further about it because I want us to go into that fresh when we finally do an episode on that.
Yes.
But boy, howdy, that is an interesting take on this concept. In a way, you'll see when we get there. I don't want to spoil it for y'all because it's the best book in the Martin Adams series. But we're acknowledging it.
But there is one UK exclusive mirror universe Sonic you can talk about.
Can't imagine what you're talking about. Actually,
it's right there.
Wait a minute.
Oh, shit. Did I misread that? I misread that.
Yeah, you sure did.
Wow. Cut out the last 5 minutes of me talking out of my ass.
I was wondering about that. I was I'm sure Jeremy knows what he's talking about. He's read Archie. But what we can talk about is...
So you put the words King Sonic up there. What am I supposed to think? Well, I need to catch up on reading my STC, apparently.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, did they do that? Sorry, this was after I stopped reading Sonic the Comic. Yeah, there was something in Sonic the Comic. King Sonic, also known as Evil Sonic. Oh. Ooh, interesting. I don't know, actually. Oh, sorry. This is up at the point where I dropped off the comic, apparently. Who was writing this again? Was that Lou?
That was a... that was a Lou Stringer.
Oh, that was during the... Oh boy. Well, that's late STC, but it was something that happened. At one point, there was an evil Sonic in STC. I just don't remember it because I wasn't reading. Sorry. Sorry, STC fans. I've let you down. I doubt you remember it either.
Seems like a pretty cool concept that Sonic was the one caught in the rock accident that turned Kintober into Robotnik instead of Kintober. Like, yeah, had all that disgusting evil chaos juice soaked up in him instead. Huh. Well,
what an interesting concept that's never done before. Anyway, moving on. No, but I don't like that there was a King Sonic in STC because it just makes me think of some Archie issues. Anyway.
And also, alternate Mobius from Sonic Underground, episode 6 as a Crowd. Now,
oh, I watched that earlier. Oh, yeah. By the way, we watched an episode of Sonic Underground, and you know what, lads? It was perfectly watchable.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, it was a Lynn Jansen episode, and it shows.
Yeah, it really was, because it seemed like a very coherent concept where the oh man, I hate to say this, but the royal siblings end up in a alternate universe where they are the malevolent oppressors of the kingdom, and Robotnik leads a band of freedom fighters against their tyrannical royalist rule, and it's pretty good. I liked it for the most part.
Yeah, it is an interesting kind of inversion that it is not, complete inverted personalities or even morality. It is, them being given the power and having it totally corrupt them to the point where it becomes like, it basically accelerates their personality traits and vices that they already have. So Manic is the super greedy tax collector. Sonia is like completely obsessed with vanity. Sonic demands all of the chili dogs. Basically just hyper exaggerating their worst qualities instead of being a full inversion, which I think is a different way of doing it. I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, but then they resolve it by having them, driving them around a neighborhood with lots of poor people, and they feel bad and they change their ways. I'm like, well, if they really were a bunch of royalist pricks, they wouldn't care. No. But I guess it's because they're heroes on the inside, and you've got to tell a good, uplifting story to children.
I mean, it is interesting that Queen Alina is nowhere to be found or even mentioned in that universe. So maybe it's a case of like, Alina is gone, and they are forced to rule without any guiding hand to guide them, and that's why they fall so easily into that corrupt methodology.
Or maybe it was the Oracle of Orpheus, or whatever his name is.
Delphius.
The Oracle of Delphius just made up a fantasy world for them to be like, if I show them how f***ed up they get in power, then maybe they'll behave in the future.
I just assume they committed matricide.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Oh.
Man, would you imagine if one of the guards turned out to be a roboticized Queen Alina? That would be f***ed up.
Ooh. Okay, I do want to say, we had a lot of fun in our episode laughing at Sonic Underground. I laughed with Sonic Underground because as the good Sonic siblings are walking up to the castle to be let in, they yell at the SWAT bot guards, to open the gates, you dumb bots. And then as they're walking through, Sonic turns around and goes, and by the way, you're all fired. And the robots literally shrug at each other and just walk off. And I thought that was really funny.
Oh, there we go. We had something good to say about Sonic Underground.
Yeah.
We redeemed ourselves.
Robotnik looks good with hair.
Oh, I love his mohawk.
That's also interesting.
Yeah, I love that it is a mohawk specifically.
It's one of those that you can't really think too much about it because you're like, okay, Robotnik is here and he's good, but Also, at the end, the Sonic siblings become good. So, it's fine. It's just a cartoon.
We probably shouldn't have a whole episode
perfectly
discussion about this.
No.
But suffice it to say, it was an interesting one of these.
Which the last one on here we have is that, hey, believe it or not, there is a mirror dimension from the Sonic Boom cartoon, which this one is cool because I think this is more of a, like, you know, the modern take on these is that a Knuckles from an alternate universe that exists in the same, you know, the same point in space as Boom Prime is transported via an accident. And this Knuckles it's less that he's the polar opposite. It's more just the, hey, Boom Knuckles is kind of silly and dumb, and this Knuckles is like very cunning and intelligent, although it's very funny that everyone yells at him like, hey, dude, quit talking like a fortune cookie.
It is interesting, though, that they also give him a little bit of an inverted personality in that he is totally willing to go take the fight to Eggman, even though, you know, Sonic straight up says, hey, come on, man, we are not the aggressors. Like, that's not our thing.
He makes fun of him later when they bust in to save him. He's like, oh, so action forward, Mr. Non-aggressor. He's like, dude, this is a rescue
more of a rescue.
But very, very cute, very charming, especially for, you know, fitting all that in an 11-minute Boom episode. Yeah. But I mean, they even have the like, oh no, the two Knuckles are phasing out of reality because they cannot be in the same universe. Which I feel like is like the modern, when people talk about alternate universes, they're thinking like comic book style, like, you know, endless possibilities, everything is real, etc., etc.
You just can't have Knuckles and Knuckles mode in that series, apparently. So.
Yeah. Apparently not. Although, admittedly, that one, it's less of a, you know, characters swapping morality and more just the personality swaps. It's mostly like, you know, Mirror Sonic is kind of clumsy and a big fanboy in Knuckles. Mirror Eggman just happens to wear green. Mirror Dave is part of the main team. You know, just little funny stuff like that.
Everyone's favorite character, Dave the intern from Sonic Boom.
I really like when they what was it, the couple of times that what did they call him, the council of side characters shows up, and it's Dave and the circus guy and a bunch of other goobers. Jake, have you anything to say about any of these?
Nope.
Okay. Cool. Just wanted to be sure.
I think we're the only ones who bothered to watch them, to be fair.
And I barely watched them.
It's not really essential to our discussion. We just wanted to give them lip service to say, like, this has sort of happened before. And mirror universes have happened in fiction for such a long time. Like, it sort of dates back to stuff like Mirror Mirror, the episode of Star Trek.
That's obviously the biggest progenitor of that, you know, trope in general, like pop culture.
Where everyone was evil, but not really. It does play around with the idea of Star Trek and the idea of the Federation, and Spock having a goatee, a Van Dyke beard to show that he's evil.
I was going to say, which character would be the one to have the goatee in the mirror universe? Because one character has to. It's like obligatory.
Yeah, we'll
Cream the Rabbit.
Someone's got to have a goatee. Even though Sonic characters typically don't have facial hair, they should in this instance. It's a mirror universe. And they got toes as well. You know what? That's what we've decided. That's how we know that this one's separated from the main Sonic canon.
God.
Well.
Jake leaves the call. No, he's back.
No, they have intricately detailed feet and toes, but blob hands with nothing on them.
Yeah, Sonic can't wag his finger anymore. That's how you know he's evil.
He wags his toe.
He can't flick his nose and go, heh.
An important character trait, as we've established.
So, all that lead up to where now we are going to dive into our own concept for this alternate universe of Sonic characters, and what we think would be a good fit for that. You know, like we said, we brought up like Mirror Star Trek, a classic episode for a reason that basically launched all this, and also I think the progenitor of this idea for an episode was you, Cyberlink, breaking up the Shattered Glass Transformers universe, which I watched the Transformers: The Basics video by Chris McFeely and got plugged into how wild and crazy that is, not just as a concept, but like, wait, this is just a thing that started as a convention exclusive? Oh my goodness.
It's tied off as an April Fool's joke, you know, and it was a silly little idea of just being like, haha, what if we made it so that Grimlock was smart, actually, and haha, what if Starscream was heroic, and, you know, and it all kind of spilled out of that.
Yeah. Who had the goatee in that again? I forget.
That was Rodimus.
Yeah.
Okay, it was Rodimus. Which is,
Rodimus Prime, who is
very
a slimy
looking.
Weasel in this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
So let's do that to Sonic in something that I have subtitled Sonic Scattered Rings. You see?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, it's the thing that we just brought up like a moment ago. Oh, there he is. There's Rodimus with his beard.
He looks... He looks like a bouncer at a nightclub.
He looks like the leader of like your local bike gang.
I know.
Yeah.
Don't ask him his political opinions.
I love my wife. I love my guns. I love my burritos.
I could see him actually saying that in one of the pro stories. But that's the kind of thing we're doing today. Okay, so we could get all jokey about it. We probably will.
We almost certainly will.
But I do want to get into come up with a legitimate story that might work as a Sonic alternate reality where morality and alignment and even personalities to a point are flipped. And so, as last episode we just talked about who is Sonic, we're going to find out who isn't Sonic this time and make him the main villain of our piece.
This is a very serious jokey literature club.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was sitting on that one.
I'm leaving.
Oh, goodness.
Just Sonica.
I'm leaving again.
This is going to be our new record for people leaving the call while recording.
Not that we probably wouldn't start off with Sonic first anyway, but the fact that we spent all last episode trying to define in some way who Sonic the Hedgehog is, now let's do the other way around. What would make an evil Sonic, if we want to boil it down to just that, a Sonic who is not himself?
I did have my bit last week where I said, like, when we got to the points of who Sonic should not be, and I said, like, somebody who actively tears people down, and Chris even, like, boiled it down further to, like, somebody who's trying to end their career, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So that's an element.
Yeah. I almost, it's funny. You were joking earlier, Jake, but you used the word anarchist, and I think that might not be the type of, if we're going to be using like political philosophy Sonic the Hedgehog might hold, because I think Sonic is a little bit of an anarchist as far as like he's rebellious, he's anti-authority, but I think what Sonic isn't and what might make an evil Sonic is if he was a nihilist.
I was just thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
Not even in like the Nietzsche way, which is, people like to reduce that and joke, oh, God is dead and we killed him, which is not what that means. But, the kind of nihilism that is like, that leads to things like eco-fascism, like, well, we just got to wipe all humans off the planet so we can get back together, get back to basics here. And I mean, that would kind of be like an anti-evil Sad AM Sonics. Like, yeah, they're eco-terrorists fighting Robotnik, but let's just set off all his nukes and reset the planet back to nothing.
Well, Sonic's theme is "It Doesn't Matter," and I feel like you could still use that name for the theme song of this Sonic if we make him a
Yeah, the bad kind of nihilist. And hey, people have seen that image that people think, oh, what people think nihilism is, oh, nothing matters. What it is, hey, nothing matters.
I just saw that recently. Yeah. And like Chris said, we can still use "It Doesn't Matter," but instead of having Jun Sinaway and Ted Poley do it, we can just have Julian Kay do it in like the This Machine style.
Yeah. I mean, what's another new version of "It Doesn't Matter" anyway? We already had 2 of them. So.
Yeah.
I think you are onto something with that concept, though. Like, I think I might have like an idea for a basic concept for the universe that kind of absorbs bits and pieces of all of the stuff we talked about earlier. Like,
should we actually like start off by having like we were talking about the universe itself, because when Sonic is so central to the universe, but we need to work out what the world actually is.
Yeah.
Because we're basing this, by the way, should note we're basing this mainly on like what is the game canon now, like because that sort of like leads into like the comics and everything. Like we've talked about all these other continuities. Now we're trying to like make this work with what we know to be Sonic now in the current day. So that's why Sonic isn't the wind. He's the what's the
He's a rock.
of wind? He's a
Hey,
whoa, Jake!
my brother.
We are not related.
So with that in mind, what's your idea for how this is going to work out at the whole world of Sonic, Luke?
so here's my idea. What if the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald were utterly destroyed?
Oh, interesting.
What if, as a result of that destruction, there is just like chaos energy flowing through like the entire planet, and it is having adverse effects on everything, like the plant life, the animals, everything. And that as a result, that is what like it's causing plant life to kind of grow at an accelerated rate and like become basically like slowly overtaking the planet. It's causing the animal life to become hostile, and basically the one bastion left is like this hidden city run by kind scientist Dr. Kintobor, affectionately nicknamed Eggman by his closest allies, who's basically like created this safe haven for humanity and for, you know, all these other refugees, to basically shielding itself from the outside chaos energy, from the invasive plant life. But, you know, these more aggressive animals are basically fighting to take down this symbol of everything that they stand against, to basically let everything be consumed by chaos, both, you know, the energy and the ideal.
I like that.
And maybe chaos, since the Master Emerald's
That's really
broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but this time he's not water. He's a rock. No, wait, we can't do that.
Piss. No, Jeremy, you and your piss.
I tell you, a piss chaos would be pretty terrifying, to be honest with you.
You can smell them for 3 miles away.
Sorry.
Terrifying.
Just someone color correct the opening to Sonic Adventure.
I'm already working on it.
I really like that, because I mean, what they've kind of, you know, we haven't seen this fully realized in a current game yet. You know, the most you could argue is like it was established in Unleashed, and you know, they kind of threw the concept out there in the Tails tube, that, you know, there are huge continents on Sonic's Earth, and that is where you have a lot of the human cities, and then you have the more magical settings with the funny little animals on the islands, you know, West Island, etc., etc. And like making like those islands where the more fantastical foliage and animals like would start I guess, encroaching upon the human cities instead of living in harmony with them. Like, yeah, I kind of like that. And that, like you said, having Eggman be the one that, instead of naturally conquering the planet, has become like... it's one its secret bomb shelter protector.
Yeah, and it also kind of has roots in like the original Chaos Emerald concept of like evil imbued in the emeralds. Imagine what would happen if they were destroyed and all that evil just suddenly rushed out and reinfected the world.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It is interesting to, like, flipping things around so that the humans aren't bad for once. No, that's not actually the nature of Sonic, but it is something funny to me about the idea of reversing it so that the cool animal character is the bad guy versus a mustached human. Can you imagine a platformer franchise that did that?
People rushing to Dr. Kintober for medical attention because a flicky bit off their finger. And I also, I just want to say that I like this setting because it doesn't give you the easy out of, oh, Sonic took the power of the emeralds for himself and became an evil tyrant. Not that concept is bad, but I just think in this discussion, that would be the easy way out.
And it's been done. So.
Yeah, and it's been done in fan works, in official works. It's man. What would a an opposite Sonic be in this setting? I like the idea that does kind of go along with maybe Sonic feels like he has to help accelerate this. Like again, like the planet's
accelerate because he's Sonic.
Speed. The planet's just reclaiming what was once hers. What if Sonic starts like a cult of the dark Gaia?
Oh.
Like that's kind of like the crazy I can't remember what they called themselves. Was it still Monarch in the recent Godzilla movies? Who again, they were just eco-terrorists. They wanted all the giant monsters to come out.
Yeah, I think it was
that
Monarch.
Sounds right.
I think that would be kind of interesting that Sonic is fighting for the planet, but not in a good way.
Yeah. He's under the impression of let Mother Earth take back what's hers without thinking about, like, especially with rapid expansion, thinking about what kind of effect that would actually have on Mother Earth. Just like, the world is returning to normal. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Too much of that.
If it was caused by the destruction of the Chaos Emeralds, which, I mean, now we know we're a foreign entity, that it's wouldn't actually be the planet reclaiming. It's this horrible cataclysm that like the real Sonic would want to stop and reverse because I would think at the end of the day, like Sonic the Hedgehog, the true Sonic, like doesn't actually like have any particular affection for the Chaos Emeralds. He just knows their potential, and so he's always trying to keep them out of the wrong hands. But yeah, I think that.
Oh my gosh.
The
god of piss.
Well, that's something to put in the little TV on the YouTube background. That's Piss Chaos.
Piss sauce.
These are for you, my friend. And it's asparagus. Cutting out all this piss talk. I'm gonna have to answer some uncomfortable questions.
I waited until you were done talking to post it because I didn't want us to have to make a hard cut.
Yeah, and I think another facet for this sort of anti-Sonic that we're creating, he could be like the leader of this sort of eco-terrorist anarchist group, but I think one of the things we mentioned in our last episode about who is Sonic, he's always somebody, even like his worst enemies, he's always trying to like bring out the best in them and see the brighter side. Like kind of what I talked about, like he'll destroy Eggman stuff all day and he'll ruin his plans, but there's always that little bit of wiggle room to be able to work with him, like fate of the world style kind of thing. But in this alternate mirror universe, I think Sonic's the leader, but I don't want to necessarily like default to like the cruel leader, but like somebody who he's like hell bent on his mission, and if somebody's not performing, he will X them out basically.
I mean, it could be less like a cruelty thing and more just like, taking Sonic's inherent narcissism to the extreme.
Yeah, this Sonic already has everything figured out, and you better fall in line because it's my way or the highway.
Yes.
It does matter who's wrong or right. You're the one who's wrong and I'm the one who's right. The thing about Sonic is, like, we were just talking about Black Knight, because that is the sticking point in the Sonic fandom for some reason. No, it's good.
Yeah,
but Sonic in that says he doesn't mind being the bad guy if he needs to. Except for this time, he actually is being the bad guy. But he doesn't. But obviously, Sonic doesn't think he's being the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because the best bad guys are the ones who think they're the good guys.
I remember in like one of my writing classes years ago, they were talking about like what makes a good villain / antagonist, and it's not necessarily somebody who's just like, I'm taking over the world. It's somebody who like so much believes in their own concept of what is good and what is not, and that makes for good like drama in a story where you have two main characters, an antagonist and a protagonist, who believe very strongly in what they believe is right, and that can cause such good conflict.
Well, it's just like Eggman in the original game. He thinks he's got the right idea. He's got the plan that's going to take the world over the edge. He feels like if he's in control, everything's going to be all right because he knows what he's doing. And that's, what we could have here with Sonic.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of Eggman as like deep down he thinks, especially when he's putting like little animals and robots, like somewhere in his mind he's thinking, well, I'm just helping them reach their full potential. They're part of something bigger.
Oh yeah.
But I like that. I feel like we're going to flesh out our Sonic more as we talk about these other characters too.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but that said, I just want to get on a few important questions that we need to answer that I put in the outline. Okay, would he still be super fast?
I think he
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
you can have bad speedsters.
Okay, I was going to say, because one of the things I quite like in Shattered Glass is that Blur, famously fast character, is actually really quite slow and steal and siphon speed from other characters, which I think is quite cool.
Ooh.
But I think Sonic needs to be fast, otherwise he's not Sonic, really. And I know, the whole thing is we're flipping things around, but that's like his main thing.
That's very literal.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't want us to invert something just for the sake of inverting something. Like, I want it to be meaningful to the story we're trying to tell.
Good. Would freedom be important to him still? Because we've established that's a big thing for him.
His own, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the way we've talked about, because an evil Sonic was like, or again, I'm using evil Sonic as shorthand here.
Yeah.
Because he's got everything figured out. So yeah, you're free to do what you want as long as it also lines up with what this Sonic has got.
Okay, should he be cool and blue as the Earth, or should we like Optimus Prime him and like invert his colors somehow? Because I know we had Scourge being green. I'm just thinking, would it be interesting to flip that around a little bit? Use some of those evil colors.
Not green, because that's obviously been done.
Yeah, obviously not.
I mean, not the complete inverse yellow, because I mean that's where you kind of get supersonic.
Yeah, supersonic. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, if I could just say what pops into my brain, and this is not a dig at Sonic 06, but the one render from Sonic 06 that looks cool, where Sonic is, straight face on, usually with shadow and silver behind him. He's colored like a much darker blue than usual. And again, not getting into the like, the actual the hex numbers here. Yeah, that one right there, Luke just put it up. Maybe like a darker blue, like just a subtle thing, like, his smile and optimism gone, that kind of Sonic.
Yeah.
Because I do still kind of think you want to do a blue Sonic. We'll get to Shadow, because again, Shadow at one point was a evil Sonic, but yeah, I don't know if me personally would play too much with the color on Sonic.
I think even blue's a good choice, because I'm kind of approaching this mirror universe in the sense of especially with the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald being destroyed, like that's kind of like the inciting point of what gets everything rolling in here. And it makes me think back to an episode of Justice League I watched recently where the beginning episode showed Superman torching Lex Luthor, and then that's where you get that alternate one where Superman becomes like dictator essentially.
But I think we either go with this darker 06 blue, because that's a sign that something's wrong with Sonic, or we just sort of like leaning more in towards purple, because that's one of the evil colours, and they're giving green shoes. Purple and green, that's the colour code for back in the day of that character is evil, actually. Either way, I think we should give him his fangs from Sonic Adventure.
Oh
yeah,
Sonic Adventure and the those early Naoto Oshima comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we are joking here, but you know what else is a darker shade of blue? The ocean, which covers most of the Earth, and we've only explored or cataloged a small fraction of a percent of it, and it's utterly terrifying, the potential.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
There's my logic.
Oh yeah.
So what you're saying is that Evil Sonic can swim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he needed to. I'm sure he needed to do something. He's like, oh no, I'm going to learn.
Alan Wake voice. Sonic's not the wind. He's an ocean.
Okay, that's
dude.
good.
Imagine
last question.
Imagine like Sonic could run in the water, but imagine him like swimming and he holds up one of his spikes like a shark fin.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that's happened in OSTH or something.
Yeah, I know it's happened because it was in Sonic Shorts Volume 1.
Well, there we go. By the way, final question I'm going to pose to you about Sonic specifically, and then we can move on. Now, if we're going to have a complete reverse Sonic, would he live in a house?
No, because a house is a symbol of the oppressors who have a society.
Ah, yes.
Okay,
right.
There you go. So either way, Sonic is homeless.
I was going to go for the joke that, yes, Andy's the head of his HOA. No. Luke's answer is much better.
Oh, he's a landlord, I know it.
Oh, he doesn't live in a house, but he owns a bunch.
Dude.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
He has his own little Sonic towns where people are allowed to live in the overgrown.
And that provides the funding
man.
for all of his military occupations.
Oh, man.
Okay, I hate this guy already. Let's move on.
Yeah, Sonic. Well, we'll get more to it, especially as we get to other characters. But oh man, would Sonic be like at the very least, like a collaborator with their version of Gun? Like, no, I don't know. What is the Guardian?
Would Gun be in it, or would it be like, I don't know,
Nug.
what's the opposite of Gun?
Sword.
Sword. Yeah.
Happy.
Society worlds of really dead. Wait, no.
I mean, well, I guess it could technically still be the Guardian Unit of Nations. It would just be a more unfortunate acronym in this universe. And they're like, yeah, we didn't really think it through this time. Oh, no. Oh, this is the universe where it actually is just GUN. Nobody calls it Gun.
No.
No.
That's the true
we
evil
are the
one.
Guardians of the Nations. We are...
No, you don't call it that. You don't call it a Wiimote. It's a Wii remote.
Exactly. What about the good doctor? Is he the good doctor?
He's the good doctor.
Okay, he's the good doctor. Well, not that good doctor.
Yeah.
A good doctor.
Like the thing is that we already have a perfect template to work off of in the various Kintabors that have appeared over the years, plus Mr. Tinker. So it's like, we know exactly what we're getting into with good Eggman.
Now, good Eggman in this universe, do you think he was good all along, or do you think he's kind of forced to be good necessarily in this version, just because of circumstances?
Ooh,
Maybe he's had a change of heart. Like maybe he did start off being kind of a jerk, and then it was like, oh no, wait, the animals though.
He chose to rise above his own potentially selfish ambitions for the greater good of the planet. Like that was his, if we want to use the one bad day concept, that was his one good day where he decided to be self-sacrificial instead of megalomaniacal. And yeah, maybe he is a a leader by not by choice but circumstance, and he keeps that up and is basically sacrificed any future ambitions to to keep the population alive.
Like, as the one guy who has the resources to build all of this technology to keep society safe and all these robots to act in defense of them, he kind of just fell into that leadership role.
Yeah, I feel like he's still making robots. Like, I posed the
100%.
question, does he still make robots? Yeah, because he's not Robotnik.
Like I see him as more of like a Dr. Light type.
Right.
Ooh,
I think so too, but at least how I see just all that crap I just talked about, like I would picture this Dr. Eggman is more like tired all the time and more somber. Like he's still, like you said, still making robots, but everything is for the good of the people. He is very much like, maybe he has a tiny little journal that before he falls asleep to get his 3.5 hours of rest every night, like he jots down a motobug or a laser powered roller coaster that he maybe would have dreamed of building, but now it's like, no, I gotta go to Sector 4 and make sure the medical robots are operating at full capacity, and like he is a man of integrity, but also a man of broken dreams.
Here's the thing: I have a way to build on that. What if the reason he's a man of broken dreams and still kind of resigned to his role is because he is picking up from where Gerald left off?
Ooh. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I want to get into when we get to Shadow.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
Gerald is an interesting character.
Yeah, what if this whole change happened years ago, like decades ago, and Gerald was the one who first began establishing this protection for society in the wake of this Chaos Emerald catastrophe, and when he passed away, Eggman basically picked up where he left off, even though more out of obligation, even though he had ambitions of his own, because, hey, I learned everything I know from my grandfather and somebody's got to do it.
What if, okay, maybe we should save this for Shadow. What if Gerald was the one that broke the Chaos Emeralds?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it's I like the idea that Gerald is the one, Gerald fucked up. It wasn't the world didn't fail him. He failed the world.
I've got my mind is spinning with good ideas now, because
and then that adds an extra dimension to Eggman, where it is out of obligation both to keep the world safe, but also a combination of guilt and resentment over his family legacy, basically.
Yeah, his closest allies know that he had nothing directly to do with the tragedy of Gerald Robotnik, but there's definitely some folks that sit around the dinner table saying well, yeah, it's the least he could do considering it's his family's fault and yada yada yada. And to answer some of these questions here, does that make this Eggman the protagonist as if Sonic is an antagonist? I don't know.
That's tricky, man. To do we have the human character be the protagonist, or do we want to make it between two furry characters? I don't know yet, but
yeah, I think
he's an important character there.
Here's the thing. Something that is key to basically any good mirror universe story is that when you bring it, when you have a mirror universe, it doesn't just exist. It always is brought, people become aware of it because a character from the main universe gets pulled in there and basically acts as the audience surrogate, having to discover the new status quo and figure out how everything got to this point and how they will eventually get back. Mirror, mirror, injustice, all that stuff. Shattered Glass had Cliff Jumper. And so I think that we would need to have a similar case of a character from the main universe being brought into this Shattered Rings universe. And I think that might be Tails in this case.
That's what I proposed when I came up with this. I was just Tails, the smart one, is the sort of person who looks on this world and is oh, wait, this is wrong. Because if it's Sonic, especially Sonic Prime Sonic, it's like, I don't know what's going on. It's my world, but it's weird. What's wrong, guys? Do you forget? Okay, sorry, we'll stop dunking on Prime. but you know.
Here's the thing: there are two characters I think this are best done with: Tails or Silver.
So can I throw something out there?
Please
Okay,
Go
on,
for it.
So because we've established that like one of the inciting things is that the Master Emerald got destroyed as well. What if there's some sort of reality space-time crossing connection between every Master Emerald and every version of Knuckles, and like main universe Knuckles feels that, and so but like it's like a devastating feeling to him, and so he somehow finds a way to go to this mirror universe. So what if he's the main character?
Ooh, that's interesting
Knuckles
too.
could also work. Yeah.
The reason why, what are the reasons? Like, of course, as we know, Knuckles, as we know in these days, isn't the brightest guy, but he does know a lot about like weird stuff that's going on with the Emerald and Chaos Energy and stuff. And also, he's the kind of character who can go toe to toe with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So you might be onto something here. Like Tails is great, but I don't know if he's the one who's going to be fighting Sonic.
I really like this idea of like main universe Knuckles goes there, and he finds mirror universe Knuckles, who, without the Master Emerald, is just like, he's basically a hollow husk. He just kind of wanders and doesn't know what to do with himself. And so main Knuckles finally meets Mirror Knuckles, and like maybe somehow inspires him to basically keep going on. Like that's just a thought in my
I
head.
like that.
Yeah.
Like
That's good.
Knuckles, a Knuckles without the Master Emerald is like a masterless Ronin.
Yeah, like I could see Mirror Universe Knuckles as, you know, kind of a wanderer who's just basically kind of a loose cannon wild card where he's just doing his thing, and if anybody crosses him, it's a, you know, no holds barred beatdown.
Yeah, I feel like we should jump to Knuckles for this one, because I just feel like this is an interesting topic.
Yeah, I want to come back to Tails. Let's jump to Knuckles, because we're on a roll here. I really like that, because I do think you could do both. Like you said, Knuckles, we're just going to say either true Knuckles, prime Knuckles, whatever works for these characters. I know.
I've just been saying main Knuckles.
Yeah,
We get confusing.
Yeah, or our Knuckles. That's what you
Yeah,
say. Our Knuckles. So our Knuckles could, like you said, I like that Knuckles has the Master Emerald Force. He suddenly feels the, you know, like a
disturbance.
The soul's crying out, a disturbance. And yeah, somehow makes it to this mirror universe. And just because it would be not only a to go back to like a classic depiction of Knuckles as a, you know, a pseudo like secondary protagonist, or a cool guy like Sonic, but yeah, somebody who actually could physically stand up to Sonic if it came to that, if we are going to have like, and he's going to fight this Sonic.
I like that.
Just one thing, like, oh, sorry, you were saying.
No. I was just going to end it with saying, like, and kind of like how he has also a relationship with Tails, where like, hey, Tails handles anything technical, Knuckles doesn't really do that. Like Robotnik, Eggman in this universe would also like handle that. You know, I don't know. I wanted to say the same thing about Tails. We'll get back to that, but I mean, would not to sell this concept short, but would like Sonic or Knuckles become like a Rockman in this, you know, a Mega Man in this context with this version of Eggman, like providing him with not only intel but like weapons or gadgets for.
I like that though, because it does help like fill the gap that Knuckles has when it comes to this kind of thing. Like he needs the info, he needs like the help. He's great at the fighting and knowing lore about Chaos Emeralds, but other than that, you know, and climbing and gliding.
I'm just imagining a scenario where like Knuckles is in the lab with Eggman. He's just like, Eggman's like, Knuckles, I have these for you. These are what I call the fighting gloves. They're yellow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it also reminds me of, I've seen Tyson Hess has been replying to people sharing the clip of Knuckles from the Frontier short, where he starts the fight with the the little Frontiers baddies, where he chuckles and says, an ambush, your funeral. And Tyson commented that they've spent the whole half of the short, showing Knuckles very like quieter side, like he's very interested in the history of his island. He can be contemplative, and then he said that once he finally throws that first punch, they wanted to make sure it hit like a goddamn truck.
Oh, an ambush, huh? Your funeral.
It sure does, but I feel like that side of Knuckles would play good in this universe, that he probably wouldn't understand all the concepts and would probably glaze over a Dr. Eggman trying to explain like, oh, and these are our defense systems and we have to do patrols to make sure to beat back the local flora and fauna, and he would be like, look, Doctor, I understand, but just point me in the direction of the, the guy I need to punch.
I do like also the idea that maybe at first he's understandably like, Eggman, oh no, you've pulled this stuff with me before. Like at this point, he's like, this has happened over and over and over. No, but no, like he'll have to. I felt like at first it would be an uneasy alliance.
Yeah. Oh man, I like that.
That's what would make it work.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I do have this thought. Oh, sorry, Jeremy, carry on.
No, I was going to say the knucklehead goes in the other direction for once.
One thing I was thinking, we were talking about like who, the reverse Knuckles would be in this world. And you did mention the wandering Ronin who has no like purpose because of the lack of the Master Emerald. Because that is like a key part of Knuckles' character is his dedication to his mission. And when his mission is no longer there, what do you have? You've got nothing. Like I like to think that Angel Island's probably sunk.
Oh man, not even just floating, it's sunk,
in the STC way.
Yeah, I like that. I've always liked that idea, like sunk into the bottom of the ocean, so like everything, his home is gone. He's got nowhere to go anymore. Angel Island is no longer holding him back and he can go have other stories. Just like people want to... like, what's stuck in my craw is like, but what if this Knuckles is so far removed from the Knuckles we know that at one point, like, him and our Knuckles are teaming up, and at one point he betrays Knuckles to Sonic. Like, the evil Knuckles does the betraying for once. Like, I know we've explored that a little bit with Knuckles the Dread in Prime, where he's kind of duplicitous, but that's just kind of the thing for me, is like, Knuckles fools Knuckles. That's just a little thing I would like.
A Knuckles with no honorable purpose would have no reason to have an honorable existence.
Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking. That would be cool.
Like, maybe he goes along with main Knuckles for a while, but maybe his inner demons get to him to the point of like, what's the point? Like maybe that's his change. Like,
oh, that's Sonic's message, isn't it? Though. Like,
yeah. Yeah, Sonic would tell him, like, why are you helping this guy? Like, even if he gets back to his world and, protects his Angel Island, yours is gone and it's never coming back, dude.
And he would say, dude.
Yeah, he would still say, dude. Sorry, just the thought in my head is, I feel like we kill this Knuckles. That's. I know it's probably because it's in my head that Cliff Jumper goes to the Shattered Glass world and his self has died a while back. But I'm just like, at some point, this Knuckles either like sacrifices himself or he just dies. I don't know. I kind of like that. It's kind of tough.
Went down with Angel Island.
Ooh.
Yeah, that Knuckles with seemingly nothing, no honorable existence does seem like the perfect character to have. Like, well, at least I could do this one last thing to something good with my life, and does a final sacrifice against. He does a King Kitan Giga Drill break.
Yeah. Okay, that's the story. We're done, everyone.
That's
that's really good though. That's
hey, I hope somebody's writing this down.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we're going to have an entire audio record of it.
Right.
Yeah, for real.
I promise I don't want to like skip forward of like our characters in our list right now. I have ideas for Shadow, but I'm holding on to them until we get to them.
I also have ideas for
Yes.
Shadow, but Shadow's going to be a longer discussion. I think we need to hop back to Tails.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I want to hop back to Tails because the first thing that came into my mind for Tails was not only could he be the audience surrogate, the one that crosses over, and it would make sense for Tails. Like, hey, Tails, he's playing with, alternate dimensional portals, and like, we didn't mention it, but hey, Sonic X is technically kind of like a weird alternate universe with the two worlds, but. I think Tails could also be, okay, what if Mirror Tails is also our protagonist? Like, because, you've written here, we've seen, quote unquote, an evil Tails in the form of 9 in Prime, which is done well and bad, depending on what episode you're watching.
Listen, I really liked 9 when he first showed up, and then they just turned him into a silly
I think 9 is probably a good root concept for a Mirror Universe Tales, where because he does not have a positive influence in Sonic, or maybe more specifically because evil Sonic is such a piece of shit to him, it's hard not to imagine a world where he just becomes a total misanthrope.
I just don't want to do 9 again specifically.
Yeah. So mine thing was, what if instead of, and I guess you could still technically do both. You could have our Tails come and meet this Mirror Tails, but what if Mirror Tails was the good protagonist, but instead of being Superboy genius who hangs out with Sonic and is capable on his own, but is also a super genius that fights Eggman, what if he is this angsty little kid who just wants to save the world but relies on Eggman as his, to go back to the Mega Man analogy, his Dr. Light, to provide him with equipment and gadgets, and he just leaves all that to Eggman, and he's the spunky boy protagonist who's out there leading the resistance against Sonic.
I see Tails more as a mid I think his allegiance would change partway through the story, where he starts out as Sonic's number one go-to guy, but as time goes on, he just gets so tired of Sonic treating him like shit that he eventually turns sides, not because he wants to be, he wants to save the world, but more just because he wants back at Sonic.
Sonic keeps calling him Pixel Brain all the time and making fun of him.
I think that, it is kind of the STC relationship, but taken to a much more of an extreme.
Yeah, it's basically what people think the STC relationship is between Sonic and Tails is what we do here.
Yeah, but unironically,
or goes back to Jake's assertion that hey, Sonic always knows what to say and usually where the line is. This Sonic doesn't, because he doesn't care.
No, this Sonic always knows what to say to make somebody feel their worst.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if I can add another detail to this, I think this version of Tails, he sticks around and helps Sonic, at least quote unquote, through half the story, and not because he respects and admires him, because that's a really big part of Tails' character. That's why he hangs out with Sonic in the first place. But in this version, it's that respect and admiration has turned into fear of Sonic. And he is he may not show it outwardly, but Miles is scared to cross Sonic in any way.
Yeah. Which is an interesting parallel, because I remember there was a little bit of that in Anti-Mobius Tails, but he was mostly just hated Sonic's guts in that one. There was a little bit of fear because, especially later stories, it's established that Anti-Sonic / Scourge just straight up murders people. So
yeah.
But that he would turn against Sonic, but is still fears the consequences of that.
Do we think he's still a boy genius? Is that something that we still have for this tale? Because that is one of his biggest traits in the modern fiction.
What if that's something that doesn't come until later because Sonic has always been putting him down. He doesn't
doesn't live up to his potential.
Yeah, exactly. Sonic has been holding him back for all these years. It's not until he's finally out from under that yoke that he starts to realize I might actually he sees Eggman building something and he's like, wait, and he starts to it starts to click in his brain. He starts to actually start to develop that intelligence.
Yeah, he gets out from under that yoke and gets under that yoke.
And so there's I know I keep wanting to throw little details in here, which I mean that's the whole point of this, but
yeah, kind of.
But so one thing I'm thinking of is Tails' geniusness, so to speak, has an arc. At the beginning of Sonic's campaign, Tails is, still the boy genius, but now I'm thinking about the fact that there are real life scientific studies that say there is a certain amount of deterioration that happens in the brain over time because of depression and fear and stuff like that. And so I'm not saying Tails, Tails gets dumber, but I'm saying that he's because of his fear and maybe because of
a little bit of PTSD.
Yeah. He's just not able to come up with the ideas fast enough. He's not able to come up with good enough ideas, and at some point he does have that breakaway moment, and then once he eventually finds refuge with Eggman, then the gears and the sparks start going again.
Yeah,
God, that's really good. Sorry, I'm just imagining at some point Sonic looks at something Tails is working on and he goes, you know what, Tails, you've always been a bit dim.
Oh man! Oh, that's so bad. Geez, even what is the the passive aggressive? What is the mirror universe of the Sonic adventure? Tails crashes his plane and Sonic's yeah, that's pretty typical of you. And you better keep your hands off my plane, the tornado. Oh man, now I'm sad.
Sorry. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
I do want to know. That's really good. I 100% agree that he would meet this universe's Eggman and hey, saying it seriously, not with a chuckle, the healing could begin for young Miles. Yeah. I do want to ask, is there a Mirror Tails who is a crazy mad scientist who is still working for Sonic and making him, horrific? What if they still look like his adorable Miles Electric Fisher-Price machines, but they kill people?
That's another universe, I think. When I wrote this down in the outline, I was just thinking of evil scientist Ratchet from Shattered Glass. So.
Yeah. Regardless of Tails' role, I think it is a very tragic figure. Which, hey, like we said, when it's good, it's really good in Sonic Prime. The concept of 9 does work. So it's hard not to want to kind of revisit that a little bit, but different in in our scenario.
Instead of having Tails if he never met Sonic, is this Tails if he hated Sonic? And I suppose that's technically what 9 ends up being, but good. Sorry, Sonic Prime.
But stick the landing.
Yeah.
Also, a very important question that Chris put in this outline is: does Tails have a mustache?
Evil scientist version, mad scientist variant, sure.
Maybe he has the little trash stash you get when you're 12 or 13.
Yeah.
You refuse to shave it because you think it looks cool, but it never does.
Tails is a fox. He's covered in fur, yet he still somehow has a splotchy peach fuzz mustache.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, we said the Sonic characters usually don't have facial hair, but there are some examples like the train conductor. But he has an enormous beard and mustache. But
that's true.
It can work. Just little extra whiskers.
I mean, as a dog, they tend to have those.
Yeah. Little schnauzer beard on Tails, maybe.
We should probably give the goatee or Van Dyke beard Spock in Mirror Mirror to maybe Ronan Knuckles just to differentiate.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know. Knuckles with a goatee is getting a little bit too close to...
Mac from the Knuckles show.
Oh no!
Well, I was thinking more Laura Sue Chronicles.
Oh no! Abort!
Oh no!
See, I specifically did not bring up her name when I was mistakenly talking about the Archie Sonic King Sonic storyline because Too many doors. Hey, talk about a nightmare mirror universe. Oh, boy.
Well, we live in the horrible mirror universe where Ken gets to do that.
Okay, I do. I feel like, hey, we're on a roll. We're excited about Shadow. I want to talk quickly about Amy and how do you top anti-Mobius Amy, who is literally a psychopath serial killer who loves Sonic, but loves him so much that she needs to kill him and dance in his guts.
You don't top. I was gonna say you don't top that because Yandere Amy is the exact concept you want to do for this.
Yes,
it's a shame though. So I don't think we could do it again because we'd be ripping them off.
I think that it's much easier for me, who I fully admit I've been critical of eras of Amy's writing where she's only obsessed with Sonic in a weird way and has literally nothing else to her personality. And the way to make a creepy mirror version of that is that you just push it to the absolute extreme where that literally is all that she talks about. But I don't know. In this universe, if again, like we can't just do that again. Like you said, it's Yandere Amy.
And when it comes down to it, Amy's not just that anymore.
Yeah.
Like that is she loves Sonic, and I did put in the notes. Does she love Sonic? Does she hate him? Like I don't know. But there is more to Amy now than just her Sonic fixation.
Mm-hmm. I think in this mirror universe, I would almost say you could flip Amy's characteristics around her strongest tenets to her character, but instead of that making her a villain or even an antagonist, it might even make her a hero. Like, okay, what are things about Amy Rose now? She is very loving and caring. She's passionate about nature and also like spreading the concept of love, or even I'll throw it a bone because I did rewatch Frontiers, and it's not like she is not acknowledging her attraction and admiration for Sonic, but she is realizing that is a concept that can be spun to helping out the rest of the world. She says she wants to spread that love. So in this universe, though, most of those things are bad now. Sonic is not a good guy. So yeah, you could say she could hate him in this continuity. Also, she's not so much a fan of the natural world and nature because it's trying to kill all of her friends.
That's good, actually. That's how you make this work.
Yeah, possibly the city she lives in. And would you go far to make this Amy a little more like sullen? She's not as bubbly. She's not passionate about her other hobbies. Like
without making her Rusty Rose. Of course.
Yes, without Rusty Rose is very much a like working for evil Dr. Eggman roboticized, or would this Amy be more like sullen and keep to herself, and like maybe it could be our audience surrogate's job to like get her to open up, to make friends.
I mean, I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to... That's not what I was going to say. Luke just shared an image of that one Deadly Six character I never remember the name of, but you know
I know,
the one.
Nobody does. Zor.
Oh, okay,
is that
thanks.
really his name?
It is.
You know the one, the emo
boy.
one.
The Sam Riegel one.
Yes, I was about to say, like, to be fair, I don't remember his name. He might be the funniest Deadly Sixth in that game.
Oh, he just wants to die. Now I look at it, and maybe it's because I just recently finished Persona 3 Reload, he does look a lot like the protagonist from that game. Even covering one eye with the blue hair.
Oh, man.
This kind of ruins the point I was going to make. Is like I was going to say, I'm going to give this to all those Sonic fan artists out there who love this. Goth Amy. That's what you have here.
Yeah,
that definitely. Oh, maybe we should save that for Shadow. I've talked about that in the past. That if we're going to boil down Sonic ships, which are definitely never be canon, but I kind of like in concept. What if Amy, dumped that irresponsible can't count on him Sonic and just went after Shadow instead. But I do just want to say that I especially love Rosie the Rascal in the anti-Mobius Archie comics, because it is, I mean, she's nuts. She's a serial killer, and it's so funny. She still has her classic design because she never grew out of her obsession with Sonic.
Oh, sorry, that Gothic Amy from Runners that Luke posted. Yeah, like that, or maybe, God, Persona 3 again. Gothic, like Chidori from Persona 3 Reload. Go for that pastel goth look.
And the Sonic Runners costumes are super cool and cute. Just about all of them.
Man. So, also, my last note that I put on the outline, does she still use a hammer?
Yeah, why not?
I think so, yeah.
I was going to say, put some spikes on the end of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Again, hey, we're just doing the anti-Amy again, but it's just that good, man.
Like, this Amy's unwell in a different way.
Yes, she still uses her fortune cards, but again, not in the funny, like, let me tell your love fortune, but in the, like, you know, depressed emo kid getting into the occult kind of way.
She probably just always plays them in the reverse position, so it's like, it's always bad.
The trees are taking over, and you're going to step in poo today.
You'll never find love because love is dead.
So, is Amy part of any organization? Like, is she kind of in this like Eggman Knuckles team up kind of thing, or is she just on her own?
I reckon she started off like working with Sonic to begin with. That's sort of my thing, but changed sides over to kind of like what Tails did. I feel like we're gonna have a few like Autobots turned Decepticons from Shattered Glass, where like we just need a few more on our side, essentially, because there's the thing about Sonic is there are so many good characters, or characters who are like morally grey but end up being good anyway, so we need to kind of fill up the good side with some good characters.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's also a interesting thing to keep coming back to, is that a lot of these characters we would consider friends of Sonic, like did they started off with Sonic or with friends of Sonic? And again, going back to just I love that phrase. It gets used a lot incorrectly. It gets used a lot incorrectly because, I don't know, I think comic book fans get obsessed with the Killing Joke, but I do like the concept of the one bad day, because it fits well in the multiverse theory as far as like the comic book version, because that's what it is. It's like, oh, you know, a universe where Peter Parker died and wasn't Spider-Man, and you know, all that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, that Sonic's one bad day, because hey, he's Sonic, he is the center, whether he's the protagonist or not, and that radiated out to his friends. And yeah, I like to think Amy would eventually work with this Dr. Eggman and our protagonist, but definitely had to be convinced.
Yeah.
Like, she was maybe on her own before all this.
I don't want to make all of the characters depressed because of Sonic, but I feel like it's just... Isn't it funny how all of their one bad days happen because of Sonic? Because that's just... Because the way that Sonic inspires everyone around him is reversed here.
Yeah, no, it's a full-on cult of personality.
Yeah. And I like that. That is a good song.
And then CM Punk walks out.
Not gonna put a clip of it here. We've learned our lesson with that. This one y'all have on here right under Knuckles. This is super interesting. Also,
sorry, I had to put in here because we need more villains to turn around, and
I don't want to be no, okay. I don't want to derail the conversation, but is a mirror Metal Sonic? Is he just Gemerald or Shard from the Archie?
I was
thinking either Shard or like a, you know, good version of Chaos Sonic.
Yeah, because I like the concept of like here is Eggman's ultimate creation, and it is a Sonic doppelganger to fight an evil Sonic, or a bad Sonic, this mirror Sonic. Like, that makes sense to me, especially with the Eggman we have, is like, Yeah, maybe there again. His crushed dreams he would still have inside him somewhere. It's like, well, I'll just make an even better Sonic than the real one, and then this one will be the real one, and it'll work for me, and it'll fix the world. And like I said, scribbling in his little diary.
I do like the idea that this Sonic is actually a pretty decent guy. Metal Sonic, like he actually does talk, but he's like, okay, guys, let's just sit down and talk about this for a minute. I feel like you're carrying a lot of issues right now. I feel like we need to get this out.
Therapist Metal Sonic.
I don't mind a Metal Sonic talking. I don't think he has to, but I think, like you said, he would be a stand-up guy. Like, what if, you've got it in here, like, oh, did he kidnap Amy in this world's version of Sonic CD? Or what if it was the opposite? What if he rescued her from Sonic? Because maybe Sonic CD in this universe is where she first met Sonic and realized, oh no, he's an asshole.
Oh, I really like that. I like the idea that it's baby Amy, like a baby Amy from Sonic CD.
Yeah.
And, it was basically Sonic CD that led her to becoming the one that we know now, because she's just like, really distant. She became really distant after that.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say, not to get too deep into unnecessary details, but like I wouldn't think this Sonic would like chain the little planet to Never Lake in this universe, but would still like maybe go there and just to check it out, or like to see just to see what's on there. Like this Sonic is still explores just for different reasons, and I
mean he probably hears about the time stones. But maybe the time stones are gone as well.
Yeah.
Just meets Amy there, and instead of just kind of begrudgingly like, okay, yeah, you can follow me. Oh no, Eggman. He's just like, get out of my face. And I don't know, pushes her off one of those rock pillars in the CD opening. And here comes Metal Sonic.
I'm trying to think of any more like interesting wrinkles that we can add to Metal Sonic's story.
I know. I like the like. Could this again? If this Metal Sonic is created to go against a Sonic, does he? Well, I don't know. Can he achieve a Neo Metal Sonic form without the Chaos Emeralds? Like, could you just pump him full of like, I don't know, maybe power from the city to give him a boost? Ooh, sorry, I'm just thinking. Or like, does even stuff like, okay, the emeralds are shattered, but our concept is that their energy has corrupted the earth. Does that mean that chaos energy still exists? Like, can characters like Sonic and Shadow draw upon it in the air to still like say do chaos control or powers like that, but not?
I think someone's drawing it in. Like, I could imagine there's like. God, maybe it's because I've been playing Final Fantasy VII, but someone's like sucking it up as much as they can to use it to power things.
Well, okay, so what if Eggman has like, what if he's made that discovery that like there is chaos because of all the foliage and everything like becoming overgrown, there is chaos energy like within the soil and within the trees, and so he like sets up like pipelines and refineries and stuff to try to suck in as much of that chaos energy as possible to like contain it. And then that's how he can siphon it into Metal Sonic.
And to not only get it off the planet because it is an invasive energy that is killing it, but to like potentially repurpose it and power this last bastion of hope, this city.
So I have an idea related to that, but I'm going to save that for when we talk about the next character.
I think we all have so many ideas for Shadow. I know.
Yeah. But I like thinking about what a benevolent Metal Sonic who is still fiercely loyal to Dr. Eggman and also wants to replace Sonic as the, become the real Sonic, but it's technically for altruistic purposes.
But that maybe there's part of him that kind of doubt, because the whole thing of Metal Sonic is like, no, I am the real Sonic. I'm not just going to replace him. I am the real one. But I do wonder if maybe this Metal Sonic's like, well, I'm a robot though. Should I be the one in the play? Should I be the one running this world? I don't know. Like, make him a bit softer.
what purpose will I have once this Sonic is defeated? Do I deserve to exist after this?
Maybe it's more of like an ambitious thing. Like, I've seen what the real Sonic has done. I want to be a better Sonic. I want to I want to live up to a better example than the real one and be like a Sonic that the people can believe in.
He also maybe has like his own sort of Buzz Lightyear moment where, I mean, I'm sure he knows he's a robot. Like maybe he like fully like understands that he's a robot. Like he actually like, not to be that guy, but philosophically understands that he's a robot and still is trying to be the better Sonic.
Yeah, something like that.
I'll go sailing no more.
Okay. Well,
let's get into it.
All right, yep.
Okay, we've been waiting for it.
I know
can you see all of me?
Wiener
So
fly.
here's the thing. The whole reason Gerald fucked up so bad and broke the Chaos Emeralds is because he was trying to harness their wish-granting power to cure Maria's otherwise terminal illness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something we can't really get rid of with Maria. It's so important to hear her character and Shadow's character and Gerald's character.
But as a result of this happening and this whole catastrophic situation, Gerald can build a shield that keeps the chaos energy out, but I think what he really wanted to do was like build something that could actually harness it and like use it for altruistic purposes. Like as long as this thing is going to be this scourge on our planet, we might as well like find a way that we can like harness it for good so that it's not this ever-present threat. And I think that is what leads him to create Shadow as a being that can like channel chaos energy like in a more positive way. But I also think that seeing everything that happened as a result of like Gerald trying to cure her and like the effect it had on the world and the effect it had on him also just gave Maria like extreme depression and is just like, there is nothing worth salvaging here. And I think that whatever scenario leads to Shadow basically being shut down and put away, Maria's actual last wish is for him to end it all.
Oh,
yes.
That's dark.
I mean, it is dark, but here's the thing. Like, I think that last memory gets erased and Shadow does like get found in the modern day and begin like by Eggman and largely acts altruistically in accordance with that original programming until he reaches a point where he does remember Maria's last wish. And so like there's this sad moment of he defects to the bad guys, but after a while he realizes like, no, like this does not suit me. This is not who I am. And there's a moment where like he's like, no, I'm Shadow the Hedgehog. I need to decide what is right for me. And I think what is right for me is to help humanity. And he moves back to the good guys again.
Oh,
yeah,
I love that.
I like that.
He has another sayonara forever Shadow the Hedgehog because he realizes his true self was, oh man, I like that. I've got to get this other idea out of my head before I lose it. Okay, so sometimes I used to just want to pretend that the Black Arms did not exist because I thought that was such a seemingly out of nowhere origin for Shadow the Hedgehog. But what if in this universe
They're the white legs. Sorry, Jeremy, I did not mean to do that to you.
Oh my god. Literally almost blacked out for a second there. I'm okay now. Woo.
Sorry, you've lost some momentum now.
So what if they were still instrumental in the creation of Shadow, but say somehow that fits in the timeline you just laid out, Luke. Like
I'm way ahead of you. It's Gerald.
Okay.
Gerald realizes he's not going to be able to harness chaos energy on his own, so he in a desperate moment, he sends out a message to ask for help beyond the stars, and it's intercepted by the White Legs. Who are part of an intergalactic coalition of peaceful aliens and have had
this is where I'm going.
Yeah, and have had like interactions with the ancients, so they know all about the Chaos Emeralds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. Basically, what I was going to end on is that part of the tragedy of the arc is that the entire, well, I guess it would be the White Comet, if we're going to be literal here, is the entire White Comet and the entire, the altruistic Black Arms race is destroyed, but Shadow is created. So instead of one of the lessons of our Shadow's game, and that he puts aside his heritage where he has the blood of these evil, bloodthirsty, conquering aliens in his veins. It's like, oh, I can carry forth their wish for a peaceful universe with these powers that I have.
It's sort of like the last wish of White Boone.
I was going to say that, say White Boone as well.
Out of the gun.
I did look for Doom antonyms, and I was like, "Oh, Boone, that's perfect."
It was either going to be that or White Mood, and I like Boone better.
White Mood.
Yeah. but he has the same voice. He's just
He's still Dr. Claw.
I love puppies and encouragement.
Shadow, you're doing really well, actually. I'm really proud of you.
I made you a quesadilla. I know you love Latinas.
I know you love Latinas.
Shay's still looking in any universe.
Oh my gosh.
But this actually does really work for me because I am like, in my head I was like, if you reverse Shadow, does he become does he start as a good guy and then become a villain? But I still want him to be a good guy in this because I think it just works.
I think that he needs to be a good guy because we need bad guys to be good guys, and B, like Shadow's morality has been something that has been played with so much over the years that I don't think it needs to be a straight bad guy to good guy transition. I think there's room to play with that. Also, I'm going to insist that he carry over his love of flower arrangement from his Lego compartment.
Absolutely.
Yes. It, like you said, it perfectly captures the spirit of Shadow's evolution and whether you consider that like overly complicated or botched in real life canon or not, but covers the arc of what I really like about Shadow and why I've especially like recently and I'm looking forward to revisiting it for the show, like kind of warmed up on the concept of the Shadow the Hedgehog game, because I do think a lot of the concepts are super cool. And yeah, to invert this and not just go like you said, the easy way of making him like a goody two shoes or like pure evil, like a King Shadow from Archie, where he's just evil, mustache twirling.
Absolutely.
Goofball.
I feel like we could borrow something from Archie though, and that's maybe his personality from like pre-reboot Archie, where he was a little bit softer.
Yeah.
Like he was sort of like the Shadow who'd like, I think it was like, what was it? The Treasure Team Tango storyline where he's actually really polite to people and smiling quite a bit.
Yeah.
But he's still not like, oh, jolly gee whiz, guys, I can't wait to save the world again. No, he's just, he's more just
I think of that moment where he sees the holograms of Gerald and Maria, which is an arc that I would love to cover in depth sometime.
Yeah.
Also, when he finally, reaches his final "I'm turning good for good" mode, I want to invert his colors like Anti-Venom from Marvel.
Ooh.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
That would work.
I know. Did we talk about that? Well, I think we talked about that before we recorded. That like that's a little weird, but no, that would be neat. Could it?
I think
like
Shadow's
we
the
were
one
talking
character
about,
we can get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even could it be some kind of like pseudo super form.
Ooh, okay.
Like we talked about, the emeralds are gone, but the characters, people can still pull the energy out of the planet because it's infecting it. It's running through it like a blood infection.
Like
with
that moment where Shadow finally, realizes what, this is who I am. He finally is able to siphon enough chaos energy from the air around him that he can actually turn super. And then when he finally comes down from it, his, colors are permanently changed.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that.
I'm glad you said that because I had like two ideas that I've been sitting on for a while, and Luke basically said the majority of the first one. But yeah, going off with your description about how Gerald made Shadow like the ultimate being, and as part of that is able to siphon and contain chaos energy. Basically what you said, at some point in our Mirrorverse story, Shadow is able to maintain his super form consistently, kind of like that one part of Dragon Ball Z near the end of the Cell Saga where Goku and Gohan were just constantly super because that was just part of their training.
He's gonna dodge this rock like I threw it at him in slow motion.
Yes. So Amy throws a rock at Shadow's face. But yeah, so I really like that. And also because I was just thinking, just canonically, the ultimate life form on the Ark needs the 7 Chaos Emeralds to initially get powered up. At least the Bio Lizard.
The Eclipse Cannon, all that stuff.
Yeah. So the other thing I was thinking was, and I'm glad that I held on to it just because of our chance to talk about Tails and Amy and their journeys as well. I'm envisioning Sonic and his friends are always very important, but it's usually Sonic who saves the day. He is the main character, which is basically the reason why he can do what he can do in Sonic Prime. There's no other reason other than I am main.
Sonic, that is a lot of Sonic stories because he's Sonic, he's the special one. It's okay.
Yeah. But in this alternate one, it's basically, I'm thinking of the two things that are coming to mind are Gauntlet and TMNT, where you have a team of specifically 4, so it would be Knuckles, Tails, Amy, and Shadow, who all specialize in different things and come together as a group to fight. And then of course you have Eggman being, as we've said, the Dr. Light of the group, kind of enhancing or supplying them or stuff like that. And so the main quote unquote good force of this story is actually a group of 4 plus Eggman who are fighting together. And based on everything we've talked about, it seems like Knuckles is the impetus of that, and then it just kind of grows from there.
I like that.
They're a Sentai team.
We'll get to that. So should Shadow use a gun?
I would say yes, because the thing we laid out is it's less about, it's about Shadow protecting things. And Shadow has a gun in his own game because it's edgy and cool and it's E10 for ages 10 and up. But I like how they introduce that because to him it's just a tool. He has no, Sonic has morality over not putting his hands on a gun. I don't know if Sonic would go as far as that's the tool of the enemy. We do not use this. Batman just keeps coming up. But I would think yes, because it would be Shadow is using it as a tool just for a more noble purpose.
Yeah.
Here. So yeah,
I imagine it would be more Eggman designing stun guns basically to incapacitate but not kill any of the animals.
So what you're saying is we need more good guys with guns.
No, absolutely not.
I'm leaving again.
Yeah, so they can all shoot each other and leave me alone.
So what if the guns don't just use regular bullets or stun guns or anything? What if the guns are part of the way that he channels the chaos power that's just in the ground, in the trees and everything? He seeps it in and
shooting chaos.
Well, I think
chaos bullets.
Well, I think maybe that's it. Maybe that's specifically it. We talk about how it takes him, finally reaching that character at completion before he's able to harness enough chaos power to turn super. Maybe it is that when he first wakes up,
inhibitor guns.
Well, maybe it's when he first wakes up, he's only able to like his ability to channel chaos energy is limited, so he has to like he can absorb it but then has to channel it out through these custom guns that Eggman designs for him. So he's not throwing around chaos spears. He has to like have something else to expel the energy that he's absorbed. Yeah,
so he's like chaos gat.
What if it's that is one of the unlockables in the Shadow game is the Shadow gun that kind of does that. But yeah, what if it's like I'm sorry, I'm Mr. Reference. I like to build upon things, but yeah, what if it's like the angel arm gun from Trigun that like helps Shadow use his powers, but can also like potentially be so much more, like you said, could be the thing that helps him gather enough to maybe do his super form.
Yeah, or I'm thinking more like it's basically him. Once he goes through the last part of his arc, he's like, I don't need these anymore, and he's able to actually like go fully super, throw out chaos spears, chaos blast, chaos control without having to like use them as a crutch, basically.
I was thinking like a Yu Yu Hakusho moment where he like holds out his finger like that.
Yeah, that would be after he achieves self-actualization.
Yes.
Yeah. I can do 2 chaos spears a day. Oh man.
Busting out his new move, the smile bomb.
Yep.
Thank you for waking him up.
Oh yeah, that's the story.
Well, that is fascinating that like we've established, like most of Shadow would be the same. It's just his motivation. So like would a Shadow who attains that power be a little bit more horrified that like, oh, that's a chaos blast. I could potentially kill like so many people with that.
That's what the inhibitor rings are for.
Shouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh man, there you go.
I was just joking earlier with inhibitor guns, but yeah, let's keep the inhibitor rings, and then the guns are just a tool. Mm-hmm.
I do like the thought in my head of, again, the gun doesn't actually have like the moving parts or clips because it has no physical ammo.
Yeah,
but Shadow still having
it's a focus for his
motions
powers.
Of slamming like his energy into the into the gun.
I think that's probably all of the major characters for this universe.
Yeah, that's the big one. Like Shadow was like the big one we need.
Shadow,
to get
Sonic,
into.
Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Metal, and Eggman are probably like the big ones, no matter what. And the rest are probably. I think we're probably going to go through the rest of these.
We can just get through these rather fast.
Yeah,
I just wanted to build up the cast a little bit on my outline.
Oh yeah,
well, I do want to ask the last question of this Shadow, because I think it's more complicated than would he use a gun. Would he still use the curse words in this
that's
universe?
right. I don't think he'd make a big deal out of it. It's just a word.
Yeah.
Besides, everyone knows that Maria's last word was
Ow, it hurts so fucking bad.
You actually got me thinking about this now. Maybe
the morality of Shadow and his language.
Maybe so. Language is a changing thing over generations and generations. Like the word "fool" used to be the cuss word of the day, and now it's just a silly word that we use. But
Shadow, it's been 50 years. You can't say that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But
what's Maria been teaching him?
But maybe,
dear.
Maybe like we've touched on this, like this moment of self-actualization with Shadow, where like become super, stay super, and it's more than just a transformation. It's like a character revealment. Maybe it doesn't have to be a huge thing, but maybe he just has this moment of like he thinks about the weight of his own words more. That's just me being overly thoughtful about it.
No, I see what you mean. Like, I could see an either or. Like either, like you said, he is like rather maybe he is more flippant as far. We're talking about the Shadow levels of cursing here, but maybe he is more flippant before he has like his final character revelation, and then maybe he gets a bit more somber, almost like the opposite. Like he started off like very somber and more poetic in Sonic Adventure 2, and then got a little bit more bold afterwards. And maybe like you said, maybe the opposite. He gets a little bit more he's not as not as boastful maybe as before, and yeah, stops cussing so dang much.
So I just had an idea pop off in my head. What if there's a moment where, like, Amy and Tails are talking about their interactions and their stories of Sonic and how he used to be, and then how he, like, the way he became, and like Shadow and Metal are talking, and that's like the things that maybe that's one of the moments that helps, like, for instance, Metal, like, really solidify, like, I want to be the better Sonic. And that can also, with my silly idea, have give Shadow that moment of, like, weighing his words more.
That not that he wants to be Sonic, but that he maybe wants to be a little bit of the person that these people have lost.
Yeah.
Which is also something our real world Shadow probably would never admit to himself that, oh, he needs to be more like Sonic. But this Shadow might say that they sure do hold, who this person used to be in high regard. Maybe I should try and be some of their lost dreams.
I think we just accidentally came up with a protagonist for this world.
Oh, man.
Yeah. You know what, though? That's what I was thinking when I came up with this. Is like, Shadow, like, we can't, like, Eggman will be important to this, but it would be weird having him be the protagonist, I think. Yeah,
but it's, again, like we've established, it's not that Shadow, he is now the Sonic who's a goody two-shoes, etc. It's like, no, this Shadow's path have led him to be this what do you call that? A reluctant protagonist.
Yeah.
This is like, it's interesting because we're going from a centralized protagonist into essentially an ensemble cast where maybe not everybody has, like, equal, quote unquote, like, story weight, but everybody still has major importance, and Sonic is the main focus, but in the antagonistic way. Whereas, like, I'm thinking about, I know it's not nearly the same, but, like, my wife and I have been watching a lot of Modern Family, and there are characters in that show who stand out episode to episode, but there's not, like, one single character in that show who is, like, the focus of all of Modern Family. It's these three separate groups that have a lot of really good chemistry together in their groups and all together. And so we have this ensemble cast in our Mirrorverse who have really, like, from everything that we've been brainstorming so far, have really good motivations, really good stories, and I think are going to work together even better, especially with Shadow's, like, initial, like, to use wrestling terms, like, face era, heel era, and then face era again.
Well, I think what you do is maybe we do this in individual character stories leading up to the last story, like in a Sonic Adventure, maybe.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
So that's what I'm thinking, like our Knuckles story, a Shadow story, maybe even a Tails or an Amy story.
I almost think of it as like an anthology comic series.
Yeah. But we're getting ahead of ourselves now. We should probably talk about some of these other characters now we're done with the Shadow.
Yeah, I think the rest of these are going to go a lot faster than the last few. So
yeah,
this was just the big one, but I did make a list just to fill out the cast.
Oh yeah.
So similar to Amy, where we were like, well, there's a really good way to do it, and it's hard to come up with a different one. My idea for a Mirror Rouge is basically Scarlet from the Final Fantasy VII remake series, where she's okay. So our Rouge is she loves gems. I don't know if I would call Rouge self-absorbed. She's not really. She's confident in herself. She has lots of self-confidence. She knows what she wants. She will partner with governments and potential villains to get what she wants, but ultimately, when the chips are down, you can count on Rouge to do the right thing. She's done it lots of times. Now, I think, like I said, if you're familiar with Scarlet from Final Fantasy VII, who is head of the weapons development of Shinra, she is incredibly self-absorbed, an insane egotist, like literally has her like personal bodyguards that also follow her around so she can sit on them like a human throne.
Oh my gosh.
And that is my view for this Rouge, and I don't know if she would work with this alternate mirror Sonic. Maybe because she just sees it as like he's the winning team. Like it's less about
thinking, yeah.
Like he's a means to an end. Like, oh, and I'll plunder the world's jewels. She's just like, well, he's the one in charge, and none of these other. I'm on the winning side, honey, and. Yes, I think that also answers the question that she would still have them boobs out occasionally.
Yeah, sorry, that was part of what I put on the outline. Are the bat titties out? Y or M? No, I do like that idea though. That not the bat. Well, actually, no. But
she believes in women's liberation.
It's not about who. Like she really doesn't care about who's wrong or right. She just cares about what who's going to help her get what she wants.
Kind of like a Breezy.
Yeah, no, Breezy is a good point of comparison, I think.
Breezy, but worse is kind of...
Like, ultimately, she would consider herself amoral, but in reality, it's incredibly immoral what she's doing. She is... guy, is there even a way, like, maybe she works with whoever Sonic has, if he does have some kind of R&D department, like, maybe she is head of it, and, like, I wonder, would a Mirror Rouge also, like the opposite of our Rouge, instead of being very physically capable, but send others to do her dirty work for her, or use some kind of like tool, like maybe she uses more, maybe her car turns into like a battle mech now.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
She's not very hands-on. Our Rouge is very, she will cut a bitch, but this Rouge is very much like, not with my bare hands if I can help it. And,
I'm wearing my nice
some
gloves
kind of
today.
laser shotgun.
She's not a treasure hunter. She's someone who sends people out to get the treasure for her.
I can't see a universe where quote unquote evil Rouge is not just like, using her own espionage skills to get dirt on both sides and blackmail both of them into getting what she wants.
Oh,
even better.
Yep. I like that too.
I do like the idea that if things go wrong for the subject of Rouge right now. If things go wrong for Sonic's side and it starts swinging in the the opposition side, I feel like she'd be like, oh well. I'm getting off this sinking ship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you might even have a dynamic where our heroes on this side are, you can't imagine, just because so many of them went through like what happened with Sonic, definitely wouldn't welcome her with open arms, but that would be an interesting dynamic as well. Yeah, I really like that.
Rouge would be like the worst version of a contractor.
Yeah, she just has no integrity. She's just whatever suits, whatever she thinks will suit her in the future. Which also I think is, again, opposite of our Rouge, who is very much like in the moment as far as like, stealing jewels or whatever. I don't know if our Rouge really thinks about, does she have a nest egg? Does she have her treasure hoard? She might have an expense account. I don't know if our Rouge has a like retirement planned, but this Rouge does.
Well, this Rouge is certainly most likely not friends with Shadow, as Sega would appreciate.
I just like when I first started thinking about concepts for Rouge for this Mirrorverse, I just like the first word that came to my mind was just like slimy in that sense,
Yeah. Yeah. God, I actually feel like this one's a little hard, so maybe we shouldn't think about it too hard. Team Chaotix.
Yeah, okay, so they're important to Sonic. What do we do with them if we're in a mirror universe?
Mercs.
Are they detectives? But not
Mercs.
on your side. Mercs. You're right. They're probably not
Child
detectives.
soldier, Charmy the Bee.
What if Rouge like contracts out Team Chaotix? Like what if they are her like information gathering bodies?
I could definitely see that working.
Yeah, I like that. That they're still they're investigators, like you said, closer to mercenaries, but still intelligence gatherers. And what if they are the ones who are, like, oh, they won't trust Rouge, but if they infiltrated the the capital city, the sanctuary, and just put their ears to the ground and gathered some valuable intel.
Paycheck's a paycheck.
Yeah, especially nobody would suspect poor Charmy.
God, that's good.
What if this Charmy is
Danny DeVito?
he just has stunted growth and he pretends to be a child.
Oh my God.
But he's the one smoking cigars back at detective headquarters instead of Vector. He's what is it? Not Baby Bink, the baby
Herman
from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Yeah. Yes, he's Baby Herman from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Also, Chris is correct. SBO's a pirate.
Oh yeah,
I was speaking blasphemy, I'm afraid.
I was either gonna say, because I occasionally like to study the history of Japan. I was even gonna say, what if he's a samurai, but one of the real samurai who just works for the the daimyo and is basically a corrupt cop.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I kind of like that more. We've done pirates already.
Yeah. No, I am down for Shinsengumi SBO.
Yes, pushes around anyone of a lower class, like the douchebag samurais you don't think of, not the cool video game ones.
And then for Vector, instead of a crocodile, he's an alligator.
Wait. Oh my God!
That's just the change. He's just an alligator.
What if you go with he's an alligator? And alligators they're a little more rounded. If you see maybe he's from Florida. What if we go with he's not the guy that comes up with the plans anymore. Maybe he's just the big tough. He's not, he's not that smart anymore. And Charmy's the one.
Oh my God.
Charmy's the one running the show for sure.
Charmy's Danny DeVito.
You know what? I'm sold on this now. This works.
Okay.
But they are still doing their espionage. They're still collecting information. They're probably blackmailing people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's good.
And when they do their Sonic Heroes Team Blast thing, like Charmy somehow still sounds the way he does, going beep beep beep, Charmy beep.
Death penalty, but for real.
I mean, there's a reason on the outliner for Vector, not smart. Espio, a pirate. Charmy, murderer.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Actually, though.
Charmy has blood on his hands.
Speaking of children who are going to be a little fucked up, actually. Cream the Rabbit.
I don't know if there's a way to make Cream work in this unless she is just one of the people being abused under Sonic's tyrannical, leadership.
Okay.
Unless she trains Warchow.
How about this? That Vanilla is Sarah Connor before she gets arrested in Terminator 2, and Cream is a reluctant John Connor, and so she knows how to load double stacked magazines for their semi-auto before she's 6 years old. And Vanilla is just completely, doing the full chin ups in the prison cell, like ripped. And yep, the world's gonna end. I knew it. I told you. Whoever your father was, Cream, he'd let me know from the future.
Oh my God.
Maybe not that literal, but instead of the very depressing literal, she's an abused child who has nothing to live for. I
mean, we've already had a traumatized Cream in IDW, so
she does train her Chow to kill, though. I like
that.
Okay.
So I have this idea, and I really do want to avoid like the grimdark child abuse angle, but I want to think of some scenario where Vanilla and Cream, mostly Vanilla, like brings Cream on like to Eggman. So maybe like Vanilla is worried about hers and Cream's safety to the point where she actually asks Eggman to roboticize them for just better physical health and defense.
Ooh.
Wow.
That'd be pretty cool, though.
Turn Cream into a bunny analog.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can, she has no emotion. She's cold now. She's ice cream.
Maybe that's a thing where it's like, the chaos energy affects affects people differently. Like some of the animal folk are not as like juiced up on it as others, and so there is like they are not as quite as infected with the inherent like malevolence that seems to develop as a result of being too deep in it, like Sonic does.
Oh,
I did always think that was a cool part of Anti-Mobius that got introduced later was Anti-Bunny, who is basically her physical body is crippled from a disease she was born with, and so Kintober makes her exoskeletons, so she's able to fight the anti-freedom fighters.
See, it is tempting to just lean in a little bit hard with these characters because we sort of associate them with softness, and the official Sonic media has decided to lean into what if Cream wasn't quite as soft anymore because of the hard world that she lives in. Going all in on that might actually work here.
So
Yeah.
So what if to try to validate it more, what if there's like a rumor going around where it like Vanilla is seeing changes not only in her personality and attitude, but especially in Cream's, with like the chaos energy kind of, like riling up all the other members of this world. And so maybe there's a rumor going around that Eggman has a way to be able to stave off that negative energy and to be able to help people retain their sense of self. And ironically enough, it's to be roboticized because that helps them siphon the energy. And maybe it's a reversible process like later on down the road, but like during this like world shattering time where you have this chaos energy going into just innocent people, riling them up. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
No, I like what you're saying. Like Eggman could even say, if it is, he could say like, it is reversible in theory, but I don't right now. I
haven't figured it out yet.
I don't have the resources. I cannot promise you. I can promise you it's safe, but I can't promise you anytime soon we'll have the resources. I do also think, okay, go ahead.
It's just this very sad moment of Vanilla being like, I would rather my daughter and I have to live in metal shells than become someone we're not.
And it is interesting to do that when, like, technically we're pulling from the game canon for this, when where roboticization is entirely an Satayam Archie thing.
But it could be.
But we have had people be put in robot things before in Sonic, so I'm gonna say it's okay here.
Yeah.
I also think for Cream, you could, if you wanted to keep it much simpler, like you said, just lean into like she's very capable. She just doesn't, always go on adventures with Sonic. Like she could be, she could also be the Tails of this universe. Like, but the other part of that is she is basically missing out on all of her childhood.
Yeah.
She doesn't get to play with her Chao. They're always on missions. She doesn't get to have tea parties or learn to cook. She's always training and learning new fighting techniques, perfecting that spin dash, and maybe something like that. But I also really like just that concept of what if these characters are losing themselves, and again Eggman's like, well, I've been working on this thing. It's I never wanted to put it into practice because I'm not sure of the ethics of it, but
yeah. Oh man. Also, I'm imagining a really good scene where like Metal Cream gets a sucker punch in on Sonic.
Yeah.
She's a robot now. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. What if the thing about Fang the Hunter, Knack Sniper, is he's exactly the same?
Exactly the same, but he's tired of the Chaotix and taking all of his and Team Hooligan's gigs.
Oh,
and so that's why he sides with Eggman, is because he wants to get one up on those, crummy Chaotix.
Okay, yes.
I like it.
Okay, that's very good. I did put Knack on here because I was like, we don't have enough like actual villains to work with in the Sonic world. Let's have one who can easily be a good guy, and you're immediately like, No, but also.
Well, okay, what if he is technically a good guy? He's working for the better, to save the planet. He's just still kind of an asshole about it.
Yeah.
What if he's the opposite of Mirror Rouge, to where he's on the side who's going to make sure the old world comes back, because that's where all my investments in are.
like Knack is like also a little bit slimy in a way, but like slimy in the sense of like how oil is viscous and helps an engine move.
Yes, he's the one. Now he's the one who, when the chips are down, chooses to do the right thing.
Yeah, no, he is like, the informant that is in the underworld, but it's like the good guys know they can go to him because they know that his intel is legit, and even if he's out for himself, he's got the general best interest at heart as well.
Bark and Bean.
Yeah.
He could have the tragic end where like he gets caught and by Sonic's forces. Hey, Sonic forces.
Hey.
And are like, hey man, all you got to tell us is who you've been talking to, and he refuses and like gets to die a noble death.
I love that we're killing people so much in this.
I never sold you out.
It's like, sorry, client confidentiality.
Oh, you know what? I'm sold on this. We can't not make Fang like that.
Yeah.
He is just that. Like, even with all these reverse personalities and concepts.
And like, even if we, change their alignment, Bark and Bean are the exact same characters personality wise.
Yeah.
Like, no change whatsoever.
Especially like,
in fact,
especially Bean.
Bean references the other universe.
yeah. Bean's like pointing out like, this is a stupid idea.
You didn't used to be like that. Oh goodness. Okay.
I just saw what you typed down for Silver. It's use.
Little smiley
Smiley
face at the bottom.
So here's the thing. Blaze is next up on the list. I think she is another one where we could have her be the, audience character that comes in, because she's so familiar with the existing universe that if she gets sent to the other one, she is like, oh no, this is wrong. All of my friends are wrong. I need to fix this.
Ooh. Okay. So what if Knuckles, like we've established like Knuckles is like the one who like has that connection with the Master Emerald to the point where he feels like physically ill about what just happened in this mirror universe. And he actually finally realizes that he can talk to Blaze about, hopping dimensions, and she's the one who helps him get there.
Yeah. I feel like Blaze and Silver are the easiest. Like, well, either Blaze hops to the wrong dimension or Silver comes back to the wrong timeline, and there's your obvious how they get there.
It would be kind of funny though if there was a Blaze there when they get there and she's like a tyrant with ice powers.
Yeah.
I feel it's not canon. I feel like if our Blaze there, she would snipe that bitch out in a second. Like no hesitation, dead on the ground.
They can only be one.
she just stares at her as like melt and
Yeah, dude. I know if you want to go the other down here, like would Mirror Blaze have ice powers?
Yeah,
dude. I was sorry, but I was just watching an episode of Justice League Unlimited yesterday because I'm going through the series, and I was watching the episode where Mongol gives Superman the unfortunate gift of that like plant that gives him the
for the man who has everything.
Yeah, and
oh goodness,
and so there's a line in there where while he's tussling with Mongol, Superman like lights up his eyes and just says "burn."
Yeah,
and I just imagine Blaze doing that.
A Mirror Blaze, I feel like that she would be a tyrant queen is a pretty like because that it would be the opposite of Blaze, who seems like for all of her potential anxiety seems to be a very caring ruler, in the fact that like we haven't seen a ton of like Blaze being the the princess queen of her dimension, but it seems pretty she's not raising taxes we've seen.
It could be a case case where, like, if Sonic finds out that there is somebody from another dimension who is mucking up all his plans, he's like, okay, 2 can play at that game. He starts reaching out to other dimensions and finds Tyrant Blaze.
Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I do also like again, I think Blaze also works as our surrogate character as well. I like that too.
She should definitely, like, original Blaze should be involved in this in some respect. Maybe in the way that Jake said, like, she's the one who talks to Knuckles and makes him aware of alternate universes and stuff. And I do like that we still have an ice one in the cold dimension.
Yeah, it's the misers from Year Without a Santa Claus.
She's too much.
Except again, instead of singing, Fireblaze just kills her without mercy.
Yeah.
If like this were a real thing, like I'm not saying if this were a canon thing, Silver would be the default protagonist.
Yeah.
Like for that exact reason, it would be really easy. But I don't know, Silver is a hard one.
Here's the if it's Mirrorverse Silver, Sonic still rules in the future, and he starts sensing that the past is changing and that his rule is threatened, and he sends Silver back to correct the problem.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe that's what happened when maybe he picked up some of the time energy when he went to the little planet. Like, and that's how he was able to, like, occasionally see visions of the future through, and then the Oracle of Delphi shows up. No! Sonic, watch out! There's a deadly fate ahead of you.
See, the other thing I thought for Silver was because Silver, the thing I like about Silver is if you count Sonic 06, he starts as someone who has lived hard his whole life and is not overconfident in his abilities, but I mean, he comes back to the past ready to kill Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And then after that, even though, you can argue like whether the games have properly like done with Silver, but I like the evolution of his character is he's gotten softer and more like, hey, to go back to Cream, like he's regaining parts of his life. Cause I've always seen, Silver is younger than Sonic.
Yeah.
That because he's quote unquote fixed the future, he's been able to regain that life. So while he's still very powerful, he's been able to become softer and enjoy life more. And maybe it's the opposite with this. Like you said, maybe Silver came from a good future, and this evil Sonic, this mirror Sonic, has now corrupted that good future, and he's come back and is going to have to learn to be harder and get meaner and maybe develop he's never had a reason to develop his psychosis, not psychosis. Psychokinesis, hey. Well, we all have our multiple struggles. Maybe Silver does too.
This is Silver's journey to become a Terminator.
Yes. Dr. Eggman helps him lift things with his mind and puts him on Lexapro. But that's my other idea for Silver, is that he actually has to lose a bit of himself to get stronger. Hey, the Gohan effect.
Yeah. What if Eggman is like, Silver, it is use.
Yes. Yes. Like to say again, the last thing is happy face. It's use.
All right.
Goodness.
I know we keep saying this, but we do need to roll through these.
So, okay, time for the comedy round, basically.
Yeah.
I've just written a bunch of comedy ones. Let's get through them.
The Babylon Rogues, they're dead.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Sonic.
They're just fucking celebrity racers that everybody watches on TV.
Or Jet showed up to Sonic's like, I'm gonna challenge you to race, and he snaps his neck at supersonic speed. Like vibrates his atoms like the Flash and phases his fist through Jet's chest.
Oh my gosh.
The end. Sorry. We're going to have to do Sonic Riders someday so we can talk about why we do or do not.
We're
like
not just going to dunk
guys.
on them.
I like Riders 1.
All right, so here's a quick like justification for them. They are celebrity riders still, but they like every time they win, they talk about the importance of the environment, but that it's getting out of hand, and they also like use their publicity to rail against Sonic, and then that's when Sonic gets them. There you go.
Yeah, they're like celebrity activists, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
That
cool.
works.
I like that. Luke, you figured this one out for us before we even recorded.
Yeah, no, the Deadly Six are a Sentai team. They are the like overt protectors of Kintabor's Haven City. Like
Yes.
You probably don't even need to change their personalities all that much because there's a lot of classic Sentai teams where everybody has like the gimmick, like the hungry one, the smart one.
They just have cool helmets.
Yeah, exactly.
And they still use techno magic because Eggman can help them with that.
Yeah.
There you go. We did.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Infinite. Actually, I think there's room for.
Infinite.
Here's the thing. I think you could do a really cool arc with Infinite of him being like, having lost everything because of Sonic's forces, or maybe even, Shadow while he was during that brief time he was on Sonic's side. And he basically turns to Eggman and says, look, I acknowledge I am weak. There's nothing I can do on my own, but I want to help make things better. And Eggman agrees to augment him. And he basically becomes like this, maybe it is fighting him and potentially even him sacrificing himself that is like the straw that turns Shadow back to good.
Ooh, yeah.
I was going to suggest not to be the guy that says, and then this character dies, but you could have a similar, end to Infinite, like, oh, maybe his powers are connected to the city somehow, and he's putting up a decent fight against Sonic, but he starts to lose. But then the shield around the city is gonna fail, and he said he sacrifices his all his power in his physical body to be reabsorbed into the city's grid, and similar to the Phantom Ruby in the actual game. But
it's fine because Sega killed him too.
Yeah,
so
isn't it? Sorry, I've made this joke countless times, but it is funny that a character called Infinite died.
Yeah,
He sure isn't.
No. All right, I know you've got the joke that Omochao's the true villain, but what if Big the Cat is the true villain here? We're not going to do the easy, instead of being stupid, he's smart.
Look, we solved this back in Sonic Prime. He's Mr. Big.
Yeah, exactly.
He runs the criminal underworld.
Right. Oh, what if he's the one that catches Fang?
No!
Fang's working within Mr. Big's vast underground network that, is very committed to, doesn't exactly have any love for Sonic, but the fact that his nihilistic ways and hyper accelerationism have allowed them to build their horrible black market. And what if Fang operates in that and Mr. Big's forces are the ones that discover him and, put the screws to him.
I just imagine Froggy's feral.
Yeah.
Sets him up.
Or Big bit one of his legs off.
Oh gosh.
He is sitting in an aquarium in Mr. Big's office, but he is a huge frog that eats other fish that get put in the tank.
Dude.
Yes. He's like a giant salacious crumb.
Exactly.
We're done. We're done with Big. That's it.
Yeah.
We got
it. Omochao, I think, is
Omochao gives bad advice.
I think Omochao is the little helper. It's basically like Eggman's, little robot helpers that are basically all around the little society fulfilling different tasks, similar to a lot of the Badniks.
How about this? Since we kind of threw out the idea of Sonic having an R&D department, what if Omochao is actually a fleet of basically Omochao drones that do Sonic spy work?
That's even better. That's even better.
And I have I'm just being a little kid now, have laser eyes and stuff like that.
yes, of course.
Which, I mean, not to we're trying to wrap it up here, but who the hell made the original Omochao?
Yeah.
Was he a man-made object that was made to help assist humans and Sonic critters in helping to raise Chow, and they just kind of not evolved in the way Chow do, but became and then they became helper robots. But in this continuity, it would be they're evil drones.
Yeah, fleet of killer drones.
I kind of like
flying
that.
around their propellers, and then they drop their bodies like bombs.
Yeah, same voice though. Same voice.
Look at these bombs. They're yellow.
Yeah.
Just give up. Submit to the Sonic's forces.
Prepare to die.
Yeah.
Did you know? Did you know?
Did you know?
Did you know your death is imminent?
Did you know the chances of your survival are 1%? It's just the fact core from Portal 2.
Yeah.
Also, Orbot and Cubot are actually competent and nice. Well, no, Orbot is actually really supportive.
Yeah.
They might still like hinge on incompetence, but it's endearing and everyone finds them such.
And Sleet and Dingo don't exist.
They're happily married in their mirror universe and don't have to be horrendous bounty hunters.
And they're 100% consensuous with each other.
Yeah, I was about to say they have a safe word. They have a very supportive relationship. Yes.
Oh, yes, you've turned me into a mirror universe. I really like that.
Oh my gosh. Don't step on me or I'll crack.
That was the one real thing that episode of Underground we watched for this was missing.
Oh yeah, I didn't even make it to the end. To see like, man, we should have done something with Sleet and Dingo.
Yeah, you're right. Oh,
maybe even poor Lynn Jansen was like, "Hey, look, I'm trying my best already. Don't make me try and incorporate Sleet and Dingo in this episode." Okay.
So the end of this was supposed to be putting it all together, but I think we just did.
We've done that.
Basically.
I think we have, man. I feel accomplished.
Yeah, we've basically got a whole story arc aside from
Goodness.
an ending. But I would rather not define that because I think we've got a really interesting concept here, and I would like to spend another episode down the line building a story in this setting, figuring out, okay, who do we want our surrogate character to be, how do we get to point A to point B, and maybe how do we conclude that overarching narrative.
I know. I think I got some fan art in me, gentlemen.
Hey.
I'm getting excited.
I would love to see that.
I feel excited about all this. It's really cool.
What is there any final words from anybody else before I wrap us up? We have been going a while.
None that I haven't already said. I thought this was just going to be, fun, haha, jokey. What if Sonic, but he was slow and bad. But no, I think we've built a really compelling potential story here, and I think that there is room to turn it into something especially cool.
Yeah, see, I put lots of jokes in there, but I was hoping it would be something like this. We would come up with a legitimate Sonic narrative that's reversed and flips things around and would work. And the thing for me was just oh god, but who's going to be the protagonist? Can we make Shadow work? And
yes.
Yeah. Well, I gotta reiterate what I said near the end of our last episode. This is what you get when we are being open and unabashedly sincere about our passion for this. Yeah, man, we occasionally rag on some of the silly stuff in the franchise, but we think that Sonic shit's cool, dude.
Hell yeah.
That's what makes this very enjoyable. Yeah. But okay, thank you for listening along with us as we laid out this super fun mirror universe. I've had a ton of fun, and like I said, we are committing this to the record. We are going to revisit this universe.
Yes.
Again in some form in the future, but
and if you dig these ideas that we've been putting out today, please write in the comments what you like, what you don't like, and we've already said we want to legitimately revisit this basically giant story outline that we've made today, and we might be able to pick up new ideas from y'all, and it's just, this is a big collaborative effort, and we've had so much fun today doing it, and it's going to be even more fun next time.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, we're releasing this. We're releasing this into the world. It is no longer. Gosh, just thinking about it, is no longer like the forum DeviantArt days where this is a closed universe and you do not have my permission to expand. No, go crazy. You use this as a springboard for your own stuff if you'd like. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, if you really hate what we did and think you can do better, please do. Be creative in the Sonic fandom.
Yes.
Just do what you like with Sonic. That's what we're doing. This is just our idea. But make your own stuff.
And you can share that, like we said, in the comments on the YouTube video or on our social media. We are Sonic F Series on Twitter. We are Sonic F around Tumblr and Blue Sky and other places. And I promise you somebody will see it, whoever's running those accounts. I pinky promise. But you can find us individually on social media as well. I'm Game Buddy, sometimes with a 123 at the end, and I'm sure you'll know it's me if you go looking me up.
And you can find me all across the internet to tell me I'm wrong about this at FAULERRO.
Love that jingle. You can find me around the internet as Rock the Jake and on twitch.tv as Mr. Rock the Jake.
And you can find me on the various socials at Cyberlink420.
And a very special thanks, as always, to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song from the album Gotta Go Slow. You can check out more of her work on YouTube and Bandcamp, especially if it's a Bandcamp Friday. Pick up an album so Amy gets all that delicious moolah that we all need in this world. Remember to share the show around. Hey, as always, we love to do that, especially this one, man. Like, again, we want to hear some feedback from y'all on all these crazy go nuts ideas we've came out with. But yeah, sharing the show, leaving us reviews, good reviews. If you have a negative review, not saying you can't let us know, but maybe don't leave that review on a platform. If just keep it between us. But yep, that stuff does help us. But from what is coming next. Oh boy.
Definitely something that's not controversial at all.
No, I am looking forward to this one. Like our Who is Sonic one turned out pretty good, and a turned into like a genuine exploration of feelings and whatever. Hey, let's do that similar for Amy Rose, Miss Amy Rosie the Rascal Rose. She is a woman I have a lot of admiration for, and also I question a lot of her decisions in the past. And of course, by that I mean the people who wrote her really bad, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. We hopefully we can get to the bottom of what makes Amy a good character, because she is a good character.
Yeah.
But there's just lots of debate and arguments and fistfights and nuclear wars about about the details of that. Hey, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get to talk about women.
Yes. And we might have one on to help us with that.
Please, women, save us from this one.
Please. But until that time comes, I am now and will continue to be Prime Jeremy.
And I'm that, evil kind of messed up Falero. No, I'm Farello, as some people like to spell it. That's how you know I'm evil. That's Faurello.
And he's made of chocolate. I'm still pointing at the mirror at myself. I'm Rock the Jake.
And I'm Cyberlink, and victims awaiting their snowy doom include Tommy Thunder and some other nobodies who probably have families or whatever.
Thank you, Blaze.
This has been The Hill is Always Greener, and we'll see you on the other side. Or will we? White legs.